welcome to episode 72 of the We Were Athletes Once podcast. My name is Kyle. I am joined by Aaron. And Aaron, there's a lot to talk about. UFC 328 is tomorrow as we're recording this, and I believe as it's going to come up. I believe it's going to come up tonight. But we had a presser. We had a ceremonial weigh-in. We had an official weigh-in with some controversy, which I'm sure we'll get into. And then we also had the first presser for the White House card. And that in and of itself had its own craziness. I don't know. How exciting is it right now to be a UFC fan? Are we back?
We are so back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are very back. We had a crazy press conference today. We had a crazy press conference yesterday for 328, and the White House press conference was today, as you mentioned earlier, and they were both awesome. They both had heated moments. They both had fighters about to fight on the stage, and I'm very excited.
Fighters, I think we'd like the matchup. I think we'd expect too.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the 328, like they were about to fight since before they even got on the stage, but I was not expecting a Hokit versus Topuria square up there. I did not expect that to happen.
I mean, Ilya's got to find people at these press conferences that are similar in size. They're pretty close. So
yeah.
But before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit about a pretty good UFC 328 card. Like we of course, all of the focus is going to be on Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland, but I mean, up and down. I was talking to you a little bit before this, before we got on, saying that I think it's a lot of older fighters, but there's a lot of names on this card.
Yeah. We got in the second fight of the night, we got Chimaev, he's 11-0. He's Khamzat Chimaev's teammate, and he is a very hyped up prospect. I believe he's 2-0 in the UFC. Yes, he's 2-0. Technically 3-0 if you count his Contender Series fight, but he's 2-0 inside the actual promotion, finishing both of his opponents, Eric McConaughey in his last fight in the third round, and then Eric Nolan in the second round. Two guys that don't really, they're not really known at all, but very, very slick, good striker.
Yeah, I mean, there's that fight. I think this fight, that's the second to last fight of the prelims, is pretty interesting too, with Joel Alvarez and Yaroslav Amosov. Yaroslav Amosov.
Yes.
I've been trying to not trip over that name all day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Yaroslav Amosov is interesting because I believe is 29-1 at this point in his. Yeah, he's 29-1 at this point in his MMA career. He most recently fought Neil Magny, and he beat him by first round submission. I think there might be some potential for him to at least work his. I don't know if there's necessarily potential for him to be like a top 10 level fighter, but I mean, there's potential for him to have some good fights and make a name for himself. He's currently ranked 14 right now, so he might even be able to be a top 10 fighter at some point.
I am very high on Amosov here. He made a name for himself in Bellator. He was the Bellator welterweight champion. Like you said, he's 29-1. In his Bellator career, he's 8 wins, 1 loss. He had a knockout loss to Jason Jackson, who's a guy that trains in Kamaru Usman's camp with Michael Chandler, Kamaru Usman, at down in Florida. Forget. It's one of those big Florida gyms. I can't remember the name.
It's not. Why am I?
It's not American Top Team.
Yeah, he's on American Top Team.
Amosov?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I just
yeah,
found his ESPN. I looked up his name and it wasn't popping up, so I had to go
yeah,
a roundabout way. But I found his ESPN, and yeah, he's on American Top Team.
yeah. And so he's a very very good welterweight. I see him. I think he could be top five. You know, he came in and he fought Neil Magny, and you know, a lot of these Bellator guys that come into the UFC, a lot of them do not have success. You think of a guy like Aaron Pico, you think of Patricio Pitbull, you think of like Michael Chandler, like these guys that come over from Bellator. Patchy Mix is another one that I can think of. Like these guys that come in from other promotions that people are like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy that he can compete with these UFC level fighters, and they usually come in and they if they don't lose their first fight, they'll get a win and then they'll lose their next fight. And they'll sort of have like a 50-50 career inside the UFC. But I have high hopes for Amosov. He came in and he beat Neil Magny inside the first round. Which I mean, no disrespect to Neil Magny, he's a great fighter. He's won many fights in the UFC, but Neil Magny is not like he's not the best in the division. And so if he beats Joel Alvarez, I'm extremely high on Joel Alvarez as well. He's a very, very slick striker. He's big. He's got good takedown defense, and he's got some of those slickest, most vicious striking that you'll see in the UFC. A lot of people are really high on Joel Alvarez.
Yeah, and I think Amosov's going to win this fight, but I didn't think he was going to be ranked. I just saw his ranking. I didn't think he was going to be ranked already because I knew Neil Magny was his first fight in the UFC. But I guess being a champion in another division, I guess that
Yeah.
helps.
I mean,
But yeah,
I don't even know how Magny was ranked. Like, well, at the time when Amosov beat him, Magny was on a 2-fight winning streak, but I mean, I guess he could have been ranked 15 or 14, but you know,
yeah,
whatever.
but like I said, there's a lot of very interesting, to say the least, fights on this card. Uh, Jim Miller, we learned, is still kicking. He's fighting against
Mhm.
Jared Gordon. Uh,
Jared Gordon's still kicking too. I mean,
Jared Gordon, yeah.
Jared
I mean, I think
Gordon's
Jim Miller's like 44 and Jared Gordon's like 39, 40.
yeah, 37.
Oh, younger than I thought.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot of very interesting fights, and I think it's interesting all throughout. I think interesting is just the word of the week for this fight, or for this card. So we can go ahead and get into the main card. That's kind of where we're going to spend most of this episode. And speaking of interesting, we're starting out with Bobby Green versus Jeremy Stevens. Also, speaking of old, they're both very old. I believe they're both 39 years old. How do you see this fight going?
Well, we have Jeremy Stevens on the main card of a pay-per-view. It feels like 2019. The last time that this happened, well, I don't even think Jeremy Stevens on a pay-per-view period, because I think he was on the prelims of this card, but a little bit of game I'm about to drop on you. The last time that this happened was the night that Kamaru Usman beat Tyron Woodley back in March of 2019 at UFC 235.
The last
Jeremy
time Jeremy
Stevens,
Stevens was on a main card of a pay
last
per
time he
view.
fought on a pay-per-view, he fought Zabit. Jeremy Stevens fought Zabit. 230 UFC 235 in March of 2019. He lost. Jeremy Stevens has never been. I'll say this. I'll say the negatives before I go to the positives. But Jeremy Stevens is 15-19 in the UFC. I believe he's lost more fights than anybody in UFC history.
It's
He's
impressive.
won. Yeah, that is impressive. But he's 1-2 in the UFC, or not in the UFC, in the PFL. He's 1-2. And he had a great fight against Mike Perry in BKFC. He beat Eddie Alvarez in BKFC. He beat Jimmy Rivera in BKFC. Jimmy Rivera is a very good guy that some people don't know, but they brought him back to the UFC to fight Mason Jones last year in his home state in Iowa. But Jeremy Stevens has never been a top dog in the UFC in the featherweight division or even in the lightweight division. I'll say that, he has a terrible UFC record, but I have seen Jeremy Stevens dang near kill people inside the octagon. He's got 15 wins, and 15, probably a good amount of those are the most vicious knockouts you'll ever see. Against some guys, like I know he fought Max Holloway. Some of these guys just outclassed him, and he lost by decision. But he really wasn't getting finished all that much in his UFC career. A lot of it was decisions. But for instance, when he fought back to back, he fought Gilbert Melendez, he fought Doo Ho Choi and Josh Emmett. Dude, if you haven't seen Josh Emmett finish, or Jeremy Stevens finish Josh Emmett, go watch that fight because Josh Emmett almost died inside the octagon. He pretty much Jeremy Stevens broke his whole face, broke his orbital. It's one of the most vicious knockouts you will ever see. But then he got fed to Aldo, then he got fed to Zabit, and lost to Yair, lost to Calvin Cater, went on a crazy losing streak. But King Green, on the other hand, um, he's been doing way better. He's in the UFC. He's 15-12 in the UFC, which isn't the best either. Um, a lot of the same for Bobby Green. Like he's never been a top dog in the UFC. He's got some sneaky good wins. Hack Paras is a good win. Iaquinta is a good win. He beat Tony Ferguson. He knocked out Grant Dawson when Grant Dawson was he 20-1. Beat Jim Miller. He's got some sneaky good wins. And so, I mean, I'm definitely leaning towards Bobby Green or King Green in this fight.
I'm calling him
But
Bobby Green. I'm
yeah,
I'm just calling him
that's
Bobby Green.
true. That's true. I don't want to call another man king, but yeah, I'm leaning towards Bobby Green. But do not count out Jeremy Stevens. Like that dude has crazy power. He's got a lot of experience. He's fought everybody, and so has Green. I will say Green's chin is probably a bit more suspect. He's been finished, and he was finished by Roofy, put to sleep by Pimblett. One of the most vicious knockouts and one of the worst stoppages you will ever see is Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green. Bobby Green took like 15 unanswered shots unconscious. In this freak, Jalen Turner was on top of him, just pounding him. And so, just one of the most vicious finishes you'll see. I mean, yeah, I mean, Jeremy Stevens and Bobby Green have been finished in some of the most vicious manners, but they've also finished these dudes in some of the most vicious ways. And so, this this could either be a vicious finish or it will be a sparring session unanimous decision. So, we'll see. Good fight
Yeah,
though.
and I agree. I do think that's the way I'm kind of leaning towards. Is kind of that sparring session decision. I think I do have Bobby Green winning, probably via 30-27 decision. Uh,
Mm.
I I could see a world where Jeremy Stevens is able to pull this out with mixing in some leg kicks. Bobby Green doesn't really like checking leg kicks that much, and so he can be susceptible to that. But I think at the end of the day, Bobby Green, he had losses to two very good fighters with Paddy Pimblett and Mauricio Hoofy, and then responded decently well over the past few months. He ended up getting a split decision win over Lance Gibson, and then uh, a knockout against Daniel Zellhuber. I think this is about the kind of opponent that you'd expect them to give Bobby Green at this point. But I do think Bobby Green is going to end up outclassing Jeremy Stevens on the feet. And a big question that I have is I understand all the good things that you said about Jeremy Stevens. Why did we need him back in the UFC? because like you said, he was not that great in the PFL. Is Are we taking that much stock into BKFC? Because at that point, let's just sign Andrei Arlovsky back.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think they brought him back for the
and
Iowa card last year.
and to top it all off, he missed weight this morning.
Yeah.
He weighed in 160 pounds, so he missed weight by 4 pounds.
Yeah. They brought him back for the Iowa card last year. And I think they just brought him back because he's definitely a character. He's definitely put in a lot of time in the UFC. I think the UFC did him a favor because, like I said, he's got 30 plus fights in the UFC. He never was able to fight in his hometown. I think that card was lacking as it was, and so I think they brought him back for a 1 or 2 fight deal. And you know, I think they're doing him a lot of favors, bringing him back and putting him on giving him a fight like this against Bobby Green, who's another like OG of the UFC.
And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Jeremy Stevens also the Conor McGregor? Who the f is that guy?
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
I'm always. That's how I'm always going to remember Jeremy Stevens.
He wasn't lying though. When Jeremy Stevens knocks people out, they do not move. When Conor McGregor knocks people out, they still move, some of them. But I've seen everybody I've seen Jeremy Stevens knock out, they're not moving. So he wasn't lying, but he still got absolutely slayed in that interaction.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I think we're kind of aligned with how we view this one. This next fight, I don't know if we're going to be necessarily, but it's mainly because I don't even necessarily. I have a prediction, but I don't necessarily know who's even going to win this fight. It's Joaquin Buckley and Sean Brady.
Hmm.
Now, Joaquin Buckley, 21-7 at this point, and Sean Brady is 18-2. I believe Sean Brady, this is his. He just moved up right before his last fight, right?
Sean's
He
been at he's been at welterweight pretty much his whole career.
Oh, who am I thinking of?
Yeah. Joaquin
Oh,
Buckley came down from middleweight though.
that might be what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sean Brady coming off a knockout loss to Michael Morales back in November, I believe. And I don't know. I could see a world where Sean Brady is able to take control of this fight uh, on the ground. And I could also see a world where this fight ends up staying on the feet for a little bit longer than Sean Brady would like, and Joaquin Buckley is able to take control and potentially even knock him out. How do you see this going?
I think I see it the exact same way. Sean Brady, he fought Bilal Muhammad and he was TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad, I believe in the first or second round. And so he was also recently TKO'd by Michael Morales. And so how I see it is Sean Brady does not like being on the back foot. He does not like being pressured by certain guys. And he may not have the best cardio when being pressured, as we saw in the Bilal Muhammad fight, and then in the Morales fight, he was TKO'd in that one. And so also I've seen Joaquin Buckley take a third round off of Nasruddin Imavov at middleweight by his pressure, and by from his cardio. And moving down to welterweight, I can only imagine his cardio is going to be even better. He went 5 rounds with Kamaru Usman. Granted, he kind of got dominated in that fight. He still has the cardio to go 5 rounds, and he can go 3 rounds easily. He dominated Colby Covington over 5 rounds. I think that fight ended in,
Over 3 rounds and a
yeah,
doctor stoppage.
yeah, ended in between rounds. But what I'm trying to say is he's got the cardio, and I think he's got the striking to TKO Sean Brady as well. And so I think I think it's going to depend on who can implement their game plan first, because I also think Sean Brady has some of the best grappling in the division. Right? I think he's more than capable of snuggling Joaquin Buckley for 3 rounds. But I also think Joaquin Buckley is capable of putting Sean Brady on the back foot, defending takedowns, learning lessons from his last fight against Kamaru Usman, and winning this fight by that way, by just controlling the cage, pressuring Sean Brady. And I think Joaquin Buckley can TKO a Sean Brady, and I also think Sean Brady can implement a Kamaru Usman style performance against Joaquin Buckley, like we saw in Joaquin Buckley's last fight. Both of these guys coming off losses. Sean Brady was TKO'd by a vicious striker, and Joaquin Buckley's fast. He's powerful. He knocked out Wonder Boy Thompson, which is a crazy feat. So, I mean, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be who can implement their game plan the best. I think a safe pick would be Sean Brady, just based on what we saw in Joaquin Buckley's last fight, and just the grapplers are so dominant these days. Like, of course, you're gonna have every once in a while an amazing grappler like Sean Brady's gonna be knocked out by a guy like Michael Morales. But I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I'm torn as well. But I think a safe pick would be Sean Brady. Um, you know,
I think I was thinking of the combination of Joaquin Buckley moving down and the fact that Sean Brady was talking about moving down after he got
yeah,
knocked out by Morales, and then that just never happened.
yeah,
Uh, so that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, I'm looking at both of these guys' last couple fights, and I mean, both of them have really good names on their resume, the
yeah.
wins and the losses. Joaquin Buckley has Vicente Luque. You talked about Stephen Thompson, Colby Covington. Lost a decision to Kamaru Usman, which a lot of people have lost to Kamaru Usman. Not necessarily the best version of Kamaru Usman, but Kamaru Usman nonetheless. And then Sean Brady, he's lost to Michael Morales and lost to Bilal Muhammad. But in between that, submitted Kelvin Gastelum, uh, beat Gilbert Burns by unanimous decision, and then submitted Leon Edwards. So yeah, I'm generally someone that tends to lean towards grapplers, and I do think the safer pick is Sean Brady. I'm getting a vibe that Joaquin Buckley learned from his mistakes, though, and I think I'm going to have him winning this fight by probably a second or third round TKO.
That's a fair pick. Yeah,
But
I'd say that's a fair pick.
I legitimately think that fight could go either way.
Yeah, I mean either way, like I agree.
I just hope they don't give Joaquin Buckley the mic after this fight, whether he wins or loses. Just keep it away from him. Just keep it away from
You hate fun. That's the problem.
him. uh, uh, let's move on. So this next fight has been one that I've been excited for a while because there are legitimate title implications with this fight. It is this heavyweight fight between Alexander Volkov and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Uh, Alexander Volkov is has just been around for so long, and he's had such an evolution throughout his career to where he has some bad losses and he has some really good wins. Meanwhile, Waldo Cortez Acosta is the guy that fought 5 times last year, saying he wants to fight like 8 times or something like that this year if they'll let him. Like, he has been the guy that has been active and has continuously gotten it done almost every single time, barring one decision loss to Sergey Pavlovich. And he's kind of taken the heavyweight division, the UFC, by storm. I know you're a big Waldo fan. With being as impartial as possible, how do you see this fight going?
I mean, hmm. I think the safe thing to say is Volkov is going to stick and move on the outside and win a 29-28, 30-27 decision. He's got the weapons, he's got the height, he's got the range, he's got the experience. And I think that's the safe route to go. If you're placing a bet, do not bet on Cortez Acosta. But I can definitely see Cortez Acosta getting into that range, putting on some nasty boxing combinations on the inside, being crafty, and putting away Alexander Volkov.
So
That's
which one do
it.
you have? Which do you have Waldo winning this
I
fight?
mean, again, I'm going to go with the safe bet. I'm going to go with Volkov. You know, he's got so much experience. He's, like you said, he's had sort of an evolution. Um, you know, before losing to guys like Curtis Blades by just getting snuggled for the whole fight, losing to Derek Lewis, like wow.
Okay,
But
that was a different
I
Derek Lewis
mean,
than we see in 2026. It's a
sure,
different Alexander Volkov, and it's a different Derek Lewis.
sure, but I mean, still, that's crazy. Like he's winning the whole fight until like the last few minutes of the fight, and he gets hit with a crazy overhand.
I
But
mean,
I mean,
we could see that
he's
tomorrow too.
he could. I don't think Waldo has that power, but I think Waldo has some of the best boxing in the heavyweight division. Um, but you know, I'm gonna go with the safe bet. I'm gonna go with Volkov winning by decision.
Yeah, and preparing for this episode, I did go back and look at more of Waldo Cortez Acosta's fights, and I do think I was underrating his boxing a little bit. I do think he is very fast. I think he has the combinations, but I think the big thing with Waldo is that big looping overhand right has generally been what has finished his opponents. Like whenever he knocked out Ante Dalia, he did it with that big overhand right. Shamil Gaziev, it was that big overhand right. Uh, and like I said, I could very easily see, but I also agree that whenever he's like actually in his boxing combinations, he's trying to pick his guys apart. Uh, and again, I could see that happening with Volkov, but I think at some point, if Volkov is starting to get in trouble on the feet, which I think it's going to be tough to do with the height and with the reach that Volkov has, I think the big key is going to be that grappling. I do think he has a big advantage grappling. Uh, obviously the top tier grapplers in the division he's had issues with. Like he had issues. He got submitted in the first round by Tom Aspinall. He ended up beating Jalton Almeida, but it was with Jalton Almeida on top the entire time and him doing damage from the bottom. But I do think the well-roundedness of Alexander Volkov and the experience is going to be the difference here. That I do have Volkov winning this fight.
Hmm.
Now, I think that brings up an interesting conversation to where I think this is a possible number one title contender fight. Now, we have an interim title that is going to be fought for in June. And the winner of that fight, I imagine, is going to end up fighting Tom Aspinall at the end of the year. So, what do you think happens with the winner here? Do they end up going into another number one contender fight, which could potentially be the fourth number one contender fight in a row that Alexander Volkov would be in? And if Volkov wins, he got submitted in the first round by Tom Aspinall and lost to Cyril Gane twice, but he beat Cyril Gane in that second fight.
Yeah,
But he got submitted in the first round by Tom Aspinall in like 3 minutes, lost twice according to the record books by Cyril Gane. What do you think happens here?
I mean, I think that just speaks to how unfortunate the heavyweight division is right now with Tom Aspinall and his crap going on. And I mean, like what can you do? Like because of what's going on with Tom Aspinall, like unfortunately some of these guys are going to have to go on some longer win streaks like and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like some of the greatest fighters of all time have gone on some of the craziest win streaks before even getting a title shot. Like in how many fights has Waldo won? Let's see.
He's 17-2 in his career.
He's on a 3 fight. Waldo's on a 3 fight winning streak. Volkov is on a 2 fight winning streak. Like technically, they are on. Like, say what you want about. Like, I think Volkov did beat Cyril Gane. Actually, um, Volkov is on a 1 fight winning streak, and
Yeah, because the
so
second one prior to that was the Cyril Gane one.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard because I think you do have the winner of this fight maybe fight another time. I know Spivak or not Spivak. Hold on a second. I know Pavlovich is about to fight. He's fighting Teixeira, I believe, sometime in May or June, and so maybe maybe the winner of Pavlovich versus Teixeira can fight the winner of this fight. Maybe the winner of this fight can fight the winner of Hokit and Lewis. Um, you know, I don't know. I mean, what they should have made really is Pavlovich versus Hokit, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I think some of these guys are going to have to go on some win streaks. We'll see what happens with Cyril Gane and um, Shama Pereira. Duh. Um, but like, yeah, just because of the champ Tom Aspinall his crap going on, that's unfortunately what's going to have to happen.
Yeah, and Sergey Pavlovich has fought both of these guys before very recently. Pavlovich beat Waldo via
Yeah,
decision, and then he lost to Volkov via decision.
yeah.
So both of those fights would be rematches. I don't know if I necessarily love that, but we kind of have to recycle matchups at this point. I think the best thing that could happen for the heavyweight division right now, obviously at the end of the year, there's three options for who's going to hold the undisputed title. It's either going to be Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, or Cyril Gane. And I think the best thing that could happen is on the same card that Tom Aspinall fights the undisputed or fights the interim champion, which I would imagine would be October, November, maybe December, depending on hopefully it's at some point this year, but depending on how much damage the interim fight brings up, it might be a longer wait. But the best case scenario, Waldo beats Alexander Volkov, Josh Hokett beats Derek Lewis, and then on the same card that Tom Aspinall fights the interim champion, probably in the same spot on that third fight of the card, uh, Waldo and Josh Hokett fight.
Oh
Because at that point,
yes,
you are guaranteed to have a different matchup
dude.
for whoever is next. Because
That would
none of those
be
three guys have fought either of these guys.
that would be a banger.
Yeah. But
Hokit
again,
versus Acosta, brother. That'd be a
again,
banger.
the issue with that is I don't know how likely that is because I do have a lot of faith in Volkov winning this fight, but I had a lot of faith in Derek Lewis being able to find Waldo Cortez Acosta's chin in January, and he crapped the bed. I think
What?
Josh Hokett's probably going to beat Derek Lewis next month, but Josh Hokett took a lot of damage against Curtis Blades, and he's going on a very quick turnaround. So
Dude,
it
if
could,
if if the Lewis that showed up against Waldo shows up against Hokit, he might die because that was pitiful. It almost looked like he threw the
yeah,
fight. Like that was one of one of the strangest finishes that you can see.
yeah, but I almost feel like Derek's going to have a little bit more motivation this time with
Yeah,
who he's fighting. Like I think he's going to be like, "Hey, this guy isn't going to beat me." Especially when I got asked by the president personally to be on
yeah.
this card. I'm not letting this guy of all people beat me. So maybe, and again, short notice, took a lot of damage against Curtis Blades. It could happen, but I also see Volkov potentially beating Josh Hokett if that's the matchup.
Oh,
And we're back to the same issue to where you're either having a third fight again with Volkov versus Gane, a second fight with Aspinall versus Volkov, or best case scenario in that situation, Pereira is the undisputed champion, and you have a different matchup with Volkov and Pereira. Either
yeah,
way, Alexander Volkov isn't what's best for the heavyweight division, but I think it's the most likely option because I do think
yeah,
he's the best fighter of all three of these guys.
yeah.
So I don't know. We'll have to see. We still have the White House card to deal with before we get to that point. We still have Tom Aspinall needing to be healthy. There's a lot that can happen. I mean, there's a lot of guys getting signed. That the heavyweight division is honestly not as bad as it was a couple months ago. It might be a hot take. I have the heavyweight division better than light heavyweight and middleweight right now.
I would agree. Definitely better than light heavyweight. Light heavyweight is the worst that it's been in a very long time right now, and
Like
middleweight is also pretty bad.
I think Josh Hokett moving down to light heavyweight might be the best move for his career right now.
Wow, that's
He
crazy.
doesn't he doesn't have a lot of
That's
experience.
crazy,
He doesn't have a lot of experience, so heavyweight is better for him in that sense. But like he can wrestle Carlos Ulberg. Yuri makes a lot of mistakes that I think Josh Hokett can take advantage of. Like Magomed Ankalaev is an
dude.
issue. Khamzat
I
Chimaev might be an issue.
I think Josh Hokett is. I don't think he's anything special at light heavyweight. I think what makes him special at heavyweight is his speed and his cardio, which I mean, like, he's not bigger than a lot of these guys. He's not stronger than a lot of these guys. He doesn't have more power than a lot of these guys. He has crazy cardio, crazy volume. He showed it in his Blades fight, but I think a lot of advantages that he has at heavyweight, and let's be honest, like, he a lot of skill sets are going to go farther at heavyweight than
Yeah.
at these lower weight classes. But I think if he were to move down, it might take away a lot of his advantages
But
because
he's
I mean,
not those advantages that he's had against the heavyweight fighters that he's fought so far and probably will for the next fight or two. The higher you get, the he doesn't have those advantages anymore. He's fast, but I don't think he's faster than Tom Aspinall. I don't think he's faster than Cyril Gahn. I don't think he's faster than Waldo. And all of those guys are bigger than him. All of those guys have, I mean, Cyril Gahn might not, but Waldo and Tom Aspinall both have the power to knock him out with the same punches that Curtis Blades was hitting him with. I I don't think he's anything special at heavyweight.
bro,
I think
he's so special.
I think it's impressive. He's an impressive fighter for how long he's been doing it. And Curtis Blades is a nice name to put on there. Although the more I watch that fight, the more I can be convinced that Curtis Blades won that first round. I'm just saying.
You're tripping. No,
But
you're bugging. You're a Hokett denier. That's the problem. You don't like what he says on the mic. You're a denier.
he's
But
so
I
good.
mean, you're a Waldo denier. So maybe if Hokett puts on a sick performance against Lewis,
It's just
then
it's just so unfortunate that everything I've heard about Josh Hokett, he's such a likable guy when he's not doing his shtick. And he's a good fighter. He's not a great fighter, but he's a good fighter. He beat
yeah.
Curtis Blades. And I think Curtis Blades is going to be that gatekeeper into the top 5, top 10 of the heavyweight division for the next few years. Like, if you can beat Curtis Blades, you're a good fighter. He's never going to hold a championship. And it his shtick helps him. I would
You
enjoy him a
just
lot. I would
you
enjoy him a lot
just
more if he just talked crap but was real. Like, we're gonna get into Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's as real as it gets, and that's why people like him. Josh
You
Hoke is
just say
playing.
these like you say these definite things. You're like, he's never gonna hold a championship.
Josh
Like,
Hoke is never going
are
to
you a
hold a
genie?
championship.
Do you have a time machine?
Josh Hokett's never going to hold a championship, and we'll do the same thing we did with your first episode with you saying Khamzat would never beat DDP by decision with me right now. If Josh
Yeah.
Hokett ever wins the heavyweight championship,
I mean, I'll never hate a player for trying to get his money up, for trying to get a
uh,
bag. That's what Hogan's trying to do. And I mean, we're talking about him. I mean,
yeah,
like he's a big name today. He got kicked out of a press conference for almost fighting Ilya Taporia on stage. Like people are
that
definitely
was
talking about
so
this guy.
that, and I'll say I enjoyed him on the mic sometimes today more than I did normally. Some of his lines today were pretty good. His
Yeah.
line to Derek Lewis about him quitting, that was pretty good. Everything else he said, absolute cornball.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was just waiting for Pereira to be the one to stand up and start going after him, and then Ilya did, and they're like kind of the same size, which is wild. But
You said what?
like they're not, but they didn't look. Either Ilya Taporia is not 5'7" or whatever he's listed at 5'5", whatever he's listed at, or Josh Hokett's not 6'1". Like I think Josh Hokett's about as 6'1" as guys on dating apps are 6'1". He
Let me
might be
see.
5. He might be 5'10". It's
Bro.
it's not a big difference because
Let
Alex
me
Pereira stood up and he was towering above them all. That's not real though.
That's
Like
real, bro. Look at
I
this.
think Josh Hokett might be like 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all I'm saying.
where
Yeah,
is he? Oh, he's
Ilya's.
there. I mean, Josh Hogan's pretty big. What I do like the little
I'm bigger than
friendship
Josh Hokett.
between. I like the friendship between Pereira and Taporia. That was cool.
That was that was almost as cringy as Josh Hokett.
You're
Because
strange.
it just let people talk online like, oh yeah, Alex Pereira's wife had to stand up for him.
Those
Uh,
are those are nerds and dorks. See, that's a Hokett line. That's what Josh Hokett said. So that's Hokett's in your head.
I was on MMA Guru's
He's
stream earlier.
infiltrating you.
He's he's thinks Josh Hokett's the truth, and so that's probably what it is. But
I don't know,
let's
dude. He might be.
let's
We'll
talk about
see.
these championship fights.
Yeah.
Um, I forgot Tatsuro Taira and Joshua Van were fighting on this card with how much crap was going on this
Mm,
week.
yeah.
But they are fighting on this card. Joshua Van won the belt in the flukiest way possible last time that in his fight against Alexander Pantoja. Checked a kick, I guess, and Pantoja fell on his arm and broke it, and then was acting like he did something. I Josh Van is becoming one of those Sean O'Malley guys that I really want to like him, and he's making it hard to do it. And he's fighting Tatsuro Taira, who has the chance to be the first Japanese champion in UFC history. How do you see this fight going?
I'm gonna try to be quick with this one. So I believe they share one or two other common opponents, but the biggest common opponent that they share is Brandon Royval. And Joshua Van fought Brandon Royval, I believe, last year. It was fight of the year. It was a crazy fight over 3 rounds. It was a back and forth war, and Josh Van ended up winning. Brandon Royval has great ground game. He's got great jiu-jitsu, and Joshua Van beat him. And then when Tatsuro Taira fought Joshua Van, he kind of got beaten up in that fight. He kind of Brandon Royval kind of did him dirty, and because of the Royval fight against Tyra, I did not favor Tyra to do what he did to Moreno. I thought Moreno was going to be able to beat Tyra, but Tyra looked big in that Moreno fight, and still, I think Joshua Van, he might just be in his bag tomorrow night. He might be in his bag, throwing crazy boxing combinations, being quick, defending takedowns. I think he's gonna be a little ball of fury tomorrow night. I think he could get taken down, but I think he's gonna get up, and I think he's gonna put on a Max Holloway-esque performance and just out dog Tyra and out volume Tyra. And that's how I see that fight going. Joshua
Yeah,
Van.
I think this is another fight that depends on if it's going to stay on the feet or if it's going to go on the ground. Because I think Joshua Van is capable of piecing up Tatsuro Taira in boxing exchanges, but if it goes to the ground, I think Tatsuro Taira is one of the better grapplers in the flyweight division, and I think that's going to be the difference. I have Tatsuro Taira winning because I also think that I think at range with the reach advantage and the height advantage that Tyra has, he can do enough to set up the takedowns. And I think that's going to, like I said, I think that's going to be the decision. I think Tyra is going to win this fight, and then I think he's going to immediately lose the belt when Pantoja is ready to come back.
I think Tyra beats
Unless they,
Pantoja.
unless they give Tyra like a Horiguchi matchup, and they just really want to hit the Japanese market hard, but
Horiguchi's a nasty dude. I'll say that.
yeah, but yeah, I don't. That's just an afterthought though, because the main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Now, we could go all day if we wanted to about the stuff that was going on, and we probably would if we weren't kind of in a little bit of a time crunch at this point. But I mean, the whole press conference was wild. It was just them barking at each other, and Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira were in the middle, just not having a good time. Or at least Taira wasn't. Van seemed like he was, but it led to Khamzat Chimaev kicking Sean Strickland, like giving him an oblique kick, which I'm shocked there's no like penalty going on for
Dude,
that.
yeah. Straight like zero
Like
impulse control. Like,
yeah, it's a question as to whether or not he was trying to blow out Sean Strickland's knee or kick him in the nuts, but either way, not a good look. And then he comes
yeah.
in today and allegedly makes weight. Now, I would encourage everyone to go and watch the video of Khamzat Chimaev getting weighed in. This man was 188 pounds this morning, and
Yes.
they just called him 185.
Bro, like clear as day. It was going up. And he was standing there. And then he called it 185. Like it
like
clear as day. You can see it.
like Habib missing weight that one time against Justin Gaethje was more egregious, but like it was the same thing. They were both like knew when they were on the scale that they missed weight. They looked at the scale and they reacted to it. DC, who is the king of missing weight and acting like he made weight, was on the weigh-in show this morning. It was like, oh, that thing went straight. That scale went straight up.
Yeah.
And before the thing even settles, yep, 185, he's good. Like they
Yeah.
want Khamzat Chimaev to win this fight because they
Yeah.
don't want Sean Strickland to have any sort of power in the middleweight division right now.
Yeah. I mean, as far as my prediction goes, I think I'm taking Khamzat Chimaev, even though I have um, Caucasus Mountain fatigue. I'm taking Chimaev in this fight. You know, he's the best he's the greatest takedown artist in UFC history. He's ferocious with his takedowns, especially in the first round. Sean was taken down at least 4 or 5 times by DDP. Um, He was dominated by Kamaru Usman many, many years ago, and I don't even think that fight holds very much weight anymore. But I mean, I'm taking Chimaev, and I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to lose our sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, W Energy, boost code
Yes,
athletes, 10% off. Um,
yes.
how do you think, and now that we're 50 minutes into this, we'll get to the title of the episode because I'm calling it How Sean Strickland Beats Khamzat Chimaev. How does Sean Strickland win this fight?
Um,
Is it possible in your mind? Because it's possible in my mind.
I think it's definitely possible. Although I was proven extremely wrong in the last Khamzat Chimaev fight, um,
Insert
I
the clip
still,
right here.
yeah.
And if Khamzat wins a decision, I will never do this podcast again. I would look like a fool.
I still think those issues are valid. Like DDP was low key beating up Khamzat Chimaev in that fifth round. Like DDP won that fifth round. Khamzat was super tired, and in this fight, it's so emotionally volatile, and both of these guys are gonna probably have a crazy adrenaline dump in that first or second round, and so it's not. Hamzat's not going to be as calm. He's going to be emotionally volatile. And so I think that the likelihood of him pushing too much and getting tired is high. Um, and I don't think Hamzat could implement the same game plan that he did against DDP in a fight with Sean Strickland. Sean is so good. He's so good at the basics, getting up and pressuring his opponents, his teeps, his boxing, his striking on the feet. It's extremely basic, but he's mastered those basics. He's got great defense on the feet. And I think as long as it is on the feet, Hamzat will be in trouble. But I don't think it stays on the feet, man. I really think that Hamzat takes him down. And I'll say this again. I don't think Khamzat wins a decision against Sean Strickland. I truly do think that if it goes in the fourth and the fifth and Sean is on the feet pressuring him, Sean might win. If Sean can, I don't think he's defending in the first round, those takedowns. I don't think he's defending in the second round, but third, fourth, fifth, I think it's even more true. Like if Sean is up and jabbing and teeping him in those rounds, I think he can win this fight. But I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, ignore me if you're watching online. I'm going to get my charge. Realize my computer's at 2%. But yeah, I actually have Khamzat winning this fight by decision. And
It's crazy.
the reason why is because Sean ends up getting taken down because he will get this fight. There's no question about that. But I think when Sean gets taken down in this fight, I think he has the potential to scramble and get back. And if that, like, I don't know if Hamzat's going to be able to get to like keep him down. And that's something that even Islam Makhachev has came out and said today or yesterday about Sean Strickland's skills when he's fighting. And his thoughts fight even. And I think a big thing, if I can get through here, there we go. If I think when it gets to that point, I think another big thing that we're not thinking about is during that fight with DDP that Khamzat had, it didn't seem like he had that bad of a weight cut. He looked half dead on that scale today and still missed weight. He had a terrible weight cut this time. And that is normally where the allegations of like Khamzat not having a gas tank, that's where that comes from. It's from him missing weight, or from him having bad weight cuts at welterweight, which kills his gas tank. According to Arman Sarukian, who has been training with Khamzat, Khamzat's walking around at like 230 pounds. Like he had like a 45 cut. Or at least that's what he said. And
Yeah.
I would believe it with how he looked on the scale this morning. 45 pounds is ridiculous. Like how much Sean walks around at? 200, 205, maybe 210.
He gets pretty chunky. Yeah, maybe 210, 215.
Yeah, so we're talking double the weight cut potentially. I think that could lead to Khamzat gassing out a lot quicker. And I think that is a big way that Sean could win that fight, is if when Khamzat gets tired later on in the fight, if his takedown, like if the form on his takedowns aren't necessarily what they always are, and he's, you know, just kind of flopping around the octagon and eventually has to stay on the feet, or if Sean might even have the advantage on the ground. I don't know how likely that is. Like I said, I have Khamzat winning this fight by decision, because I think at the end of the day, if Sean ends up getting up, he will be able to just take him back down. But there's a world where Sean is able to find a way to frustrate Khamzat enough to keep him on the feet. And that is where, because I think Sean might be the best or one of the best boxers in the middleweight division right now. And I think he uses that teep and jab so effectively to lead to those big haymaker punches. We saw on the Izzy fight that he was able to jab and teep until he found an opening and knocked Izzy down multiple times throughout that fight. So crazier things have happened. We didn't think Sean was going to beat Izzy because he was a plus 600 underdog or something like that, which is about the same as what he is this time. I think this is a tougher task, but I think Sean is, I'm like 65-35 right now. 60-40, something along those lines.
I'm like 80-20.
I was there before this morning, but
I'm like 80-20, brother. I think it's gonna be bad. I think it's gonna be bad.
That's our thoughts on UFC 328. Let us know what you guys think. Are we off base? Is Josh Hokett going to be the best heavyweight of all time? Is Sean Strickland going to knock Khamzat out in the first minute? The answer to both of those is no, but let us know. Use code athletes 10% off at W Energy. If you like what we're doing, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Your support means the world, and that's how we are going to be able to keep doing this long term, which is the goal. So thank you guys. Aaron, you have anything?
Yes. If Sean Strickland knocks out Khamzat Chimaev and then jumps into the crowd and beats up 10 Chechnyans, I'll never do this podcast again. Some reverse psychology.
Hey, there are people that think this might be a Habib Connor situation.
It could, bro.
Habib chokes Sean out and then won't let go of it, and then jumps into the crowd.
Yeah.
And the whole Muslim Brotherhood comes up behind Sean again.
Bro, they're
behind Khamzat.
If the Americans in the audience, if that happens and the Americans in the audience don't freaking jump all those Russians, I'll be so disappointed. But yeah, we didn't speak about this during the podcast because I was going to get too fired up and we would lose our sponsorship. I ended up saying
it's a very hostile fight week. Sponsorship, so we won't lose them. But yeah, it's interesting. It leads to the excitement. All these people like Ariel Helwani online who are like, this fight's gonna get canceled.
Ariel was like, is anybody else uncomfortable with the rhetoric being shared this week? You're such a dork, dude.
That's because he's
You're
Canadian.
such a nerd. Like,
It's because he's Canadian. Like, shout out to all the
yeah.
Canadians out there, but like,
Is anybody uncomfortable with the fact that Sean said the word gun? No.
no. And if
No,
10
we're not.
and if 10 Chechnyans come out and try to jump him, he should
He should. He should up
he
it.
should
Up
do
that
whatever
5.
is legal in the state he's in at the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna say on that. I'm not gonna go as far as Sean did because that was wild.
I'll go.
Sean Strickland is wild.
I stand with Sean. I
Okay.
stand with Sean.
On that note, please be sure to keep watching, keep listening. He's here like once a month. We'll be fine. On that note, we will see you guys next time.